when they are appealing for help, I don't say it's illusion until I have come to the realization that it's illusion. I don't stop my work until I've had a release inside that says, now you can joke about it all you like. Do you see that? I've told the story to some of our students of a case where a lady was convinced that she was dying. And some of you may know that in menopause, ladies often get the feeling they're dying and won't live through till the morning. And this was one of those cases where the lady was just convinced that she couldn't live through till morning, and she insisted on calling her teacher. And her teacher responded and said, if she would like to die, please tell her I will never interfere. And that was the healing, too. But you see what was behind it. It wasn't a wisecrack. It wasn't a joke. Behind it was his realization of the fact that God is individual life. So it isn't possible. There's no way to die. Nobody can die. But if we are ignorant of that, then, of course, we can go through the death process, because we have a glass and a tumbler. If we have a glass and a tumbler, anything can happen to the tumbler. It's only when we have glass as tumbler that we know that all that glass is, tumbler is. Do you see that? And so it is. Well, of course, I will say this again. Never hesitate to laugh at yourself, because most of our trouble is taking ourselves too seriously. And when we do take ourselves too seriously, then we sit down and we really try to go to town trying to heal ourselves or improve ourselves or become angels. But we can't become angels because we are angels. We can acknowledge that which we are. We are angels. We're told that we were born a little lower than the angels, but we've come up since then and become angels. We are angels. We live and move and have our being in God. We live and move and have our being in God consciousness. And since God constitutes our being, that really is the truth, and all else is illusion. And because it's illusion, it has no substance, has no cause, has no law, has no being. And that then makes it illusion. If you were to stop, think now, just close your eyes for a moment. And in your mind, build a house. And just to make it more difficult, make it a good solid brick house with a lot of concrete over it. And then open your eyes and see what happens to your house. Because it was an illusion. It's all gone, concrete and all, brick, everything is gone. Had no existence to begin with, and it has no existence now. Why? It was an illusion. It was just a mental image in thought and never had externalized form. Do you see that? Now it is, we build up a selfhood apart from God, and we call it Mary, Bill, James, Joel, whatnot. And then, having built up that image, we try to improve it or reform it or heal it or enrich it. Whereas, if instead of opening our eyes, we close our eyes and look through, we'd say, why, no, none of that is real, because God never made that kind of a picture. The picture that God made was his own self projected into time and space. His own self. There is only one self, and I am that self, and you are that self, and there is but one self. God projecting himself into time and space. That's us. And then when you see that, you come back to your as and you come back to your is, and now let's meditate. Now, do you remember last night when we searched from the toes to the head and we didn't find ourselves there? And the question is then, where am I? Who am I? What am I? And we find that this I is God and not man. Now do you see why we can say the tumbler is glass? Glass constitutes the tumbler. Therefore, all that the glass is, the tumbler is, for they are one. There is no such thing really as a tumbler. There is just a piece of glass in a certain form that we call a tumbler. And so really and truly there is no you. There is only God in a certain individualized form that we call you, but it's still God. It's still God mind, God soul, God life, God spirit, God being, God body. Do you see that? Now, when you know that, then you say, now I understand the great mystery of the Master's teaching, and that is this. I, in the midst of thee, am mighty. Now say I. That's the I, that in the midst of you is mighty. It's no other. It's none other than that very I. Thou seest me, thou seest the Father that sent me. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Say I. Well, do you think it ever will leave you or forsake you? No. How is it going to get away from you? Do you see that? Now, I will be with you unto the end of the world. And say I. Don't you believe it will be? Yes. How are you going to drop it any place? Do you see that? Now, that I isn't a finite person. That I is your God being. That is your God self. That is your real self. And as long as you've got that, you can go through the flames without being burned. You can go through the waters without drowning. As long as you have that I. And you know you even have it when you're unconscious. Because it's that I that keeps your heart beating, your digestion going, your blood flowing. Do you see that? Now, I, closer, is there anything else closer to you than breathing, nearer than hands and feet? Anything other than I? No, say it and see how close it is. Don't you see how close that is to you? Well, there you are. I am closer to you than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. I am, say, I am. I am closer to you than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. I am. And that I am is God. It isn't man. It isn't separateness from God. No. That I am that I am. That I in the midst of you is mighty. And that is why if you make your bed in hell, that I is with you. And if you mount up to heaven, that I is with you. And if you go through the valley of the shadow of death, you try to get rid of that I. It will go right through with you. Do you see that? And now remember that that I is your Savior. That I is your salvation. Closer to you than breathing, nearer than hands and feet. And all you have to do as you learn to build this realization as you walk through your day's work, whether it's housework or whether it's office work or wherever you are, just realizing that I'm going with you. And I am your Savior. I am your Savior. Look unto me and be ye saved. Is there a God beside me, says Isaiah? I know not any. I know not any. I, in the midst of you, am mighty. Do you see that? Now that's the mystery of the Master's teaching. You have meat that the world knows not of. What is the meat? I. I is the meat, and the wine and the water. And that I will feed you and sustain you. I am the resurrection. Do you remember that? That I is the resurrection. And if you destroy this temple, who will build it up again? I will. Do you see that? That's the power of the I. When in sacredness and in secrecy, you realize that I. When you hear somebody being flippant about that I or saying, oh, I am God, then you just know they know nothing about it. They're just introducing an egotistical sense, and they're trying to make their humanhood God. They'll never believe anybody like that. But when you hear or read, as you do in the Master's teaching, I will never leave you nor forsake you. As I was with Abraham. Jesus wasn't with Abraham, you know. But I was with Abraham. I was with Isaac and Jacob and Isaiah. I was with Jesus and John and Paul. Do you see that? I mounted up onto the crucifix with Jesus. I went into the tomb with Jesus. And I walked Jesus out of the tomb. I did. And so, if you never will lose sight of the I of your being and hold that I as something sacred and something secret, and realize that that I in the midst of you is the only thing in the world that's closer to you than breathing and nearer than hands and feet, that I in the midst of you is your salvation. That's the only thing that'll go with you into the valley of the shadow of death, or up into heaven, or down into hell. Do you see that? It's the only thing that'll go through waters or go through the flames with you. I will. And there's your salvation, and there's your life. And as you understand that, that's the new creature. Because you thought I was a man. You thought I was the son of Mary. You thought I was a carpenter. No, I is God. Do you see the difference? When you realize that, and you ponder it, and you hold it sacred, and you hold it secret, please don't walk up and down the streets telling it to strangers, and don't go home and tell it to your husband and wife just because you're married to them. Because that won't make them understand it. That is why we have closed classes. That is why we have selection of students. So that I don't say these things to people who are going to walk out and think that I'm talking about some egotistical jackass calling himself God. Do you see that? I'm talking about I in the midst of you. Something very sacred, something very secret. And if you pray in secret, the God that he... Why, don't you know now what that means in the book of Matthew? You better go home. You better get home right away. I'm apt to forget tomorrow. Go home while the doors are open. Look at this. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men, to be seen of them. Otherwise you have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Where is heaven? Within you. The kingdom of heaven is within you. So therefore it says, take heed that ye do not your alms before men, to be seen of them. Otherwise ye have no reward of your Father which is within you. Now what is your Father? Certainly. Certainly. But when thou doest thine alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. Now what is there that would know within you that you're doing alms? Anything but I? No, it isn't your heart, liver, or lungs that know it. It's I in the midst of you that knows just what you're doing every single moment. And so it is with prayer. And when thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are, for they love to pray standing in the synagogues and in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, go within, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to the Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Now, when you pray, is there anything within you but I that can hear it? No. It's I that's knowing what I am doing. It's I that knows what Joel is doing. And all Joel has to do is be sure that he's right with the I within himself, and then he's right with God. And no man has to know it outside. No man has to know it. All I have to do is know it in here, and that which is the Father, which is the I of my being, my Christ self, that knows it. And that then raises up seed. And if I need anything in the external world, I know it, and I is the presence that goes before me that brings it about. Do you see that? Now study this word I tonight and tomorrow, won't you? Do it sacredly, though. Do it secretly. Do it as it says here in Matthew, within your own being. Don't let the world know about it. And just the same as you don't have to go around saying, I am honest, if you are, in some way or other, it's so apparent in your face and your bearing and your demeanor that you never have to tell anybody, and your credit's good. And you don't have to tell man whose breath is in his nostril, I am honest. Do you see that? In the same way, you don't have to parade your virtues, nor do you have to parade your prayers, nor do you have to care whether man ever knows that you've done a good deed. All you have to care about is, I know it, and let I take care of it within itself. And you'll see that once you have a sacred and a secret relationship with the I within you, you'll never again have to be concerned for a man whose breath is in his nostril, or whether he knows or whether he doesn't. And even if you have to be, if you are swimming off the beach of Hawaii, as I have been, somebody in South Africa will invite you to come over, and you'll wonder how they found out about you. But I know that I is the presence that travels over this globe telling people about the message of the infinite way. Because we don't use any other method. We don't use the method of men. We stick to the method of God. If I within me know that the infinite way is right, then the I of me will tell the I of you. Do you see that? And that's how we're brought together, without human mode or means. Something in you responds to that something in me. And that something is God. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.